The night Cassandra disclosed her departure, I was fixing the new Italian porcelain backsplash in our kitchen. We'd selected it jointly 3 months ago, pricier than my initial automobile. With folded arms, she stood in the doorway while I wielded the trowel and uttered those words as if rehearsed. I deserve more than this, Owen. I deserve someone who can provide me with the life I truly desire. I placed down the trowel, keeping my hands steady. What kind of life is that? The one where I'm not married to a middle manager who spends Saturdays laying tile. She spoke it with calculated derision, as if she had been perfecting the remark. Brennan will be taking me to Santorini next month. He has already reserved the villa. Brennan Voss, her company's chief innovation officer, was a stranger I had met on 2 occasions, once at her company's holiday party, and once when he visited our house for a dinner she insisted upon hosting. Twice he seemed to find our home beneath him, yet here he was. Clearly, you've been seeing him. It wasn't a query. I've been exploring what my life might become. She straightened her shoulders. She's filing for divorce on Monday. I imagine you'll want to discuss the settlement rationally. I glanced at the incomplete backsplash. Our marriage had spanned 9 years, and we were together for 12. Throughout business school, her startup phase where she worked tirelessly for 90 hours a week, her corporate shift when her company collapsed, I stood by her side. Now she earns 6 figures, while I make $70,000 as an operations manager at a logistics firm. Yes, I replied. We can negotiate. She seemed surprised, perhaps expecting rage or pleading. My lawyer will be in touch. Sounds reasonable. That night she left with 2 suitcases, and I completed the backsplash. Here's something about betrayal that no one tells you. The initial shock shields you for the first 72 hours. You proceed as if watching a movie of yourself. On Monday, I went to work, managed emails, endorsed purchase orders. Yolanda, my assistant, asked if I felt well, and I informed her I was coming down with a cold. The following morning, an email from Cassandra's attorney arrived. Daphne Coldwell, the senior partner at Morrison & Associates, was mentioned in the letter, which outlined her stance on equitable asset division, her retaining the house due to her ability to cover the mortgage, and a schedule for me to collect my possessions. I passed it along to my legal representative. The issue was that I'd engaged an attorney 8 months prior. This wasn't prompted by any particular suspicion. Rather, I had begun observing recurring patterns. Cassandra arriving home late with seemingly plausible excuses. New lingerie that she never wore in front of me. A growing interest in privacy, password modifications, her phone always screened down, showering with the bathroom door locked. I'm not inherently suspicious, but I am meticulous. Having a background in logistics, I learned to monitor variables and detect system anomalies. When I encountered a series of unusual situations, I sought advice from Raymond Cho, a family law attorney my college roommate recommended post-divorce. During our initial consultation, he asked one crucial question. Do you have a prenuptial agreement? Yes, we had one before marriage, I replied, mentioning that she insisted on it. His eyebrows raised. She was in the process of completing her MBA and had some family money invested in her startup. Meanwhile, I was 2 years into an operations job earning $40,000. She justified the prenup as a protective measure for both of us in case things turned sour. I felt uneasy about it initially, seeing it as a sign of potential failure, but she presented it as sound business practice. Raymond requested a copy of the agreement, which I emailed him later that day. 2 days afterward, he phoned me. Oh, and this document is a gift. She had drafted it when she possessed assets and earning potential, while I had none. The infidelity clause was ironclad. If either spouse has an extramarital relationship, they lose their right to marital assets. The speaker found herself in such a situation, lacking evidence. However, if one intends to secure themselves, proof should be obtained. The speaker was committed and the evidence-gathering process took 6 months. Raymond introduced the private investigator, Teresa Lim, who specialized in domestic cases and had previously worked as a police detective. The speaker paid her retainer from an unbeknownst savings account. The deceased grandmother left the speaker $30,000, which was saved separately. Teresa was thorough. She traced the wife's movements, compared them with the husband's calendar obtained from his assistant's insecure email, and constructed a timeline. Additionally, Teresa instructed the speaker on how to legally gather evidence. "Do you share a phone plan?" she asked during their second meeting, to which the speaker replied affirmatively. "You have a legal right to access those records." Collected all pertinent data. 2 years of cell tower records, text message logs, and call details. Rapid communication with Brennan's number, intensifying 6 months back, was evident. Additionally, I accessed her iCloud family account for automatic photo backups and downloaded 19 months of metadata, revealing instances I hadn't attended: hotel check-ins, alleged work conferences on weekends, credit card transactions, a shared account for household bills, from which I extracted patterns in expenditures. A second apartment lease in Harbor District was discovered, along with furniture deliveries and utility bills for an unfamiliar address. Upon confirmation from Teresa after verifying the address, it turned out that Cassandra had been maintaining this place. Lease was under her name. Inquiry about visitors was suggested but not pursued due to legal concerns. However, no active surveillance of the apartment was conducted. 19 months of credit card bills painted a picture: grocery deliveries, wine subscriptions, charges at restaurants near her claimed work location on nights. Yet she said she was working late. By the time Cassandra vacated, I had ample evidence from the statement's secret apartment text message logs, daily contact with Brennan, consistent cell tower data suggesting they were in the same places, photo metadata placing her at his house on weekends. She claimed work travel. Airline records from our joint rewards program showed she'd flown to the same cities as Brennan 4 times over. The day after Cassandra left, Raymond scrutinized all this information in our meeting. "This exceeds fair documentation," he stated. "It's financial fraud. She used marital funds to upkeep a secondary residence and her secret relationship. The infidelity clause in our prenuptial agreement could disallow her access to any shared assets. However, these credit card statements provide grounds for a lawsuit seeking reimbursement. Approximately how much?" He calculated it. "This includes the apartment lease, furniture, travel, and entertainment expenses linked to the affair, amounting to around $340,000 over 19 months. Then I felt something, not satisfaction or vindication, but rather a chilling clarity that the woman I'd cherished had been embezzling funds for her escape plan. What should we do next? We wait for her to file paperwork, then counter with every piece of evidence we have. On Thursday, Daphne Coldwell's office called my office line. They proposed a mediation session to fairly divide assets without court involvement. Next Tuesday was set for the mediation, Raymond, and I filled 4 bankers' boxes with evidence, each document sorted by category with reference tabs. He compiled a comprehensive brief spanning 60 pages detailing our counterclaim. The meeting took place in a luxurious conference room at Morrison & Associates. Boasting floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the metropolitan skyline, Cassandra sat beside Daphne adorning an unfamiliar navy suit. Exuding self-assuredness without a hint of discomfort, Daphne started with her presentation. "We're grateful for your attendance, Owen. We think we can agree on a fair settlement that recognizes the contributions made by both parties to the marriage. Cassandra proposed $40,000 for your portion of home equity, on condition you vacate within 2 months. Raymond did not react to Daphne. Instead, he fixed his gaze upon me. I retrieved our prenuptial agreement from my bag and placed it on the table between us. "Do you recall this?" I questioned Cassandra, her gaze shifted to the document. "Indeed, that's our prenup." "Do you recall your reason for desiring it?" Cassandra looked at Daphne before turning back to me. "To safeguard ourselves, correct. To safeguard what each of us brought into our marriage." I turned to page 4. An infidelity clause is found here. Section 7, paragraph C states that if either party participates in an extramarital affair throughout the marriage, they forfeit any claim to marital assets accumulated during the marriage and are required to repay any marital funds used for said affair. Cassandra's facial expression remained unchanged, but her breathing became shallow and quick. Daphne moved closer. "Mr. Hendricks, if you're accusing infidelity, you must provide compelling evidence." Raymond pushed the first banker's box towards us. Inside were credit card statements, joint account details, 19 months' worth of expenses for a second apartment in Harbor District, including rent, furnishings, utilities, and entertainment costs, all paid from marital funds. He then moved the second box. First folder, phone logs and call records from our shared plan, showing daily communication with Brennan Voss over the past 11 months. Second folder, tower data and photo metadata from Mrs. Hendricks's cloud account, indicating she was at Mr. Voss's residence on 17 separate instances while claiming to be on business trips. Third folder, airline records from our shared rewards account, showing Mrs. Hendricks traveled to the same cities as Mr. Voss on 4 separate occasions for business. Fourth folder, hotel records from those cities, revealing rooms were booked on the same floors during her visits. Cassandra gazed at the folders intently, almost fearfully, as if they held explosives. Daphne opened the first folder, glanced at the top document, an apartment lease, and leafed through credit card statements. Her professional demeanor faltered slightly. These expenses, she was informed, were from our joint account. All charges were made using marital funds to set up and maintain a residence for the purpose of carrying on an affair. According to the prenup she drafted, she holds no rights to shared assets. However, under state law, my client has grounds to seek full restitution of funds spent on the affair. Our rough calculation indicates a sum of around $340,000, Cassandra exclaimed incredulously. This is absurd. Moreover, you scrutinized my phone records, bank accounts? I meant our shared phone plan, I clarified. The same goes for our joint credit card and our mutual cloud account. Anything I accessed, I have legal access to. You engaged a private investigator to track me, recording your public movements and correlating them with voluntarily disclosed data. Raymond maintained his composure. Nothing obtained through unlawful surveillance, all evidence admissible in court, Daphne concluded as she closed the file. She fixed Cassandra with a lawyer's discerning gaze. Had you revealed this information during our case discussions? Cassandra hesitated, then stammered. I hadn't thought he was aware. That wasn't my question. Daphne faced Raymond. What's your proposition? Mrs. Hendricks waives all rights to shared assets, such as the house, cars, retirement funds, and joint savings with a full release. In return, our reimbursement claim drops to $200,000, a 40% discount, payable in 5 years at a reasonable interest rate. If we decline, we file a comprehensive lawsuit. Mrs. Hendricks's infidelity and misuse of company resources for personal matters come to light, resulting in a full counterclaim of $340,000 plus legal fees. Cassandra stood up. You devil, you cold, manipulative devil. I studied her then, taking a long, hard look at her. You said you deserved more. For 19 months, you deceived and robbed me, orchestrating your departure as I installed the backsplash you selected. Before you left, I ensured you didn't take anything else. She exited the room. Daphne collected the packages. I'll need to discuss this with my client. I'll get back to you. They reached an agreement 8 days later. Cassandra endorsed the waiver, accepted the payment schedule. The agreement was notarized by Raymond in an hour. I retained the house, vehicles, retirement funds, joint savings, everything. Our divorce was final 6 weeks later, with no issues regarding the infidelity clause in the prenup. By mutual consent, it was enforced. 3 months following our divorce, Brennan Voss vanished from Cassandra's professional circle. I never inquired about the reasons. However, Teresa casually mentioned that his unknown wife had filed for divorce 2 months after our mediation. It seemed she'd hired her own investigator. Later, Cassandra relocated to Denver. LinkedIn indicates she handles project management for a startup, yet I seldom log in, still reside at my house. The Italian porcelain backsplash suits well. I'm content that I completed it. Occasionally, folks inquire if I harbor remorse regarding the incident's unfolding. As for maintaining records, hiring an investigator, utilizing the prenuptial agreement to safeguard myself, I don't experience guilt. She believed I would plead, crumble, or bargain from a weak position while she claimed what she desired and half of what I had constructed. Instead, I merely delivered the prenup to her lawyer. At times, the finest retaliation is simply being prepared.